Welcome to What If, a channel where we imagine the impossible, explore wild scenarios, and ask the big questions about our world. Ready? Let's dive in. You awaken not with a jolt, but with a profound, unsettling clarity. The digital clock on your nightstand blares 3 a.m., yet you feel utterly, completely rested. More than rested, invigorated. You stretch, a strange energy thrumming beneath your skin. You glance over at your partner, their eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, a mirror of your own bewildered alertness. The world outside is eerily quiet. Then you hear it, a distant hum of perpetual activity, growing louder, closer. Then the news alerts begin to flood in, not just one, but a global torrent. Reports from Tokyo, London, New York, all echoing the same impossible story. No one is sleeping. The world, collectively, has woken up, and the concept of rest has simply vanished. This is not just a lost night, this is a paradigm shift. We're left with one monumental question. What if humans didn't need to sleep? What if the universal pause, the nightly surrender, was suddenly rendered obsolete? The consequences of such a change would not just ripple, they would crash through every facet of existence. First, the immediate shock, that initial disorienting phase of global disbelief. Euphoria for some, terror for others. People would frantically try to sleep, to force the familiar oblivion, only to find their minds buzzing, their bodies refusing to yield. The silence of 3 a.m. would be replaced by a cacophony of dawning realization. Then the profound physical consequences would begin to manifest. Sleep, we know, is not merely a passive state, it's an active, vital process of cellular repair and cognitive reorganization. Think of your brain not just as a supercomputer, but as a bustling metropolis. During the day, it's a hive of activity, traffic flowing, commerce thriving. Sleep is when the sanitation crews move in, the infrastructure is repaired, and the data centers perform critical defragmentation and updates. Without that nightly reset, the neural streets would quickly clog with metabolic debris, the synaptic traffic would become gridlocked, and the software would begin to glitch. The scientific wow here is the brain's glymphatic system. Imagine your brain as an elaborate sponge and your cerebrospinal fluid as a gentle, cleansing tide. During wakefulness, this tide barely trickles, but when you sleep, the brain cells actually shrink, expanding the channels between them, allowing that fluid to surge through, literally washing away toxic waste products like amyloid beta proteins, which are implicated in neurodegenerative diseases. Without sleep, this vital plumbing system would stagnate, turning the brain into a landfill of its own making. Next, the societal breakdown and rapid restructuring. Entire industries built around the diurnal rhythm would crumble. Mattress manufacturers, sleep aid pharmaceuticals, night shift economies would crumble. The global energy grid, designed for nightly lulls, would buckle under 24/7 demand. Crime rates, fueled by constant opportunity, would initially surge before new, draconian surveillance and control systems emerged. The very fabric of society, from work-life balance to education, would be irrevocably altered. A world without night for humans would mean perpetual activity, leading to an exhaustion of the spirit, a relentless hum of existence without true quiet. This relentless human presence would then trigger long-term environmental changes. Light pollution, once contained, would become a global, ceaseless glow, drowning out the stars and disrupting the delicate circadian rhythms of flora and fauna. Noise pollution would become a constant, inescapable drone. Resource consumption would skyrocket, fueled by endless production and activity. Ecosystems, from nocturnal predators to light-sensitive plants, would struggle, adapt, or perish under the relentless pressure of humanity's ever-waking march. Finally, the new normal would settle. Humanity, an ever-conscious species, would redefine rest. Perhaps new neural technologies would emerge, not to induce sleep, but to simulate its restorative processes. Rapid brainwave oscillation devices or personalized neuro-cleansing sessions. Cities would be redesigned not for quiet repose, but for endless cycles of activity and active rest zones. Environments for deep thought, meditation, or structured cognitive offloading. The concept of a day would stretch, not into a 24-hour cycle, but a continuous stream of productivity and conscious engagement. Our very perception of time would warp. We would evolve, not just culturally, but potentially biologically, to accommodate this ceaseless wakefulness. We would become true masters of perpetual motion. Let's dive into the human stakes. The first 48 hours would be a descent into a specific kind of hell. The initial thrill of extra time would quickly sour. Mass anxiety would grip populations as the inability to sleep morphs from novelty to torment. People would try every trick in the book: warm milk, counting sheep, tranquilizers, all to no avail. The frustration would fester into irritability, then rage. Without the mental reset, the brain's emotional regulation centers would fray. Hospitals would overflow not with physical ailments, but with a pandemic of psychological distress. Governments would declare states of emergency, battling not an external foe, but the internal chaos of a sleepless humanity. The global economy would seize, not from lack of work, but from the inability to comprehend a world without a pause button. The sheer, relentless presence of consciousness would be overwhelming. But humanity, ever the adapter, would find its footing over the next 10 years. Our relentless ingenuity would be put to the ultimate test. Scientists would race to understand the novel biological state, developing advanced cognitive filters and neural reset technologies. These wouldn't induce unconsciousness, but rather simulate the glymphatic flush and synaptic pruning functions, allowing the conscious mind to remain online while the brain underwent its maintenance. Imagine stepping into a booth for an hour, your brain waves gently guided, your mind refreshed without ever losing awareness. Education would become continuous, lifelong process, integrated into daily life rather than compartmentalized. Social structures would shift dramatically. Instead of 8-hour workdays and 8-hour sleep cycles, we might have 16-hour work cycles followed by 4-hour active rest periods, or communal conscious meditation sessions designed to foster mental clarity and emotional resilience. Architecture would reflect this, with buildings designed for continuous use, integrating quiet zones for focused thought alongside bustling productivity hubs. The very concept of night would become a historical curiosity, its only marker the planetary rotation, not human experience. We would have reshaped our world and ourselves around the gift or curse of perpetual wakefulness. So, what does this all mean? The seemingly simple act of sleep, that nightly oblivion, is a fundamental rhythm, a universal pause that structured not just our personal lives, but our societies, our economies, and even the natural world. Without it, humanity is forced to confront its relentless nature, evolving into something both magnificent and terrifyingly efficient. We become perpetual motion machines, boundless in our potential, but perhaps at the cost of our inner peace and the delicate balance of the planet. The very essence of what it means to be human would be redefined. But if our bodies could truly transcend their biological limits, what if humanity discovered a way to shed its physical form entirely, becoming beings of pure, untethered consciousness? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, hit like, and most important, drop your wildest what-if idea in the comments. And be sure to ring the bell so you never miss a new video. See you in the next adventure. Don't miss it!